Okay, let's move on to our next review of the day, and we're talking about Nasty Baby. This is written and directed by Sebastian Silva. I have a synopsis here. A close-knit trio navigates the idea of creating life while at the same time being confronted with a brutal scenario that causes them to take a life. I feel like that's a spoiler that probably shouldn't have been mentioned in the synopsis, but
Yeah,
we'll get to
kind
that.
of thought that too.
This stars Kristen Wiig, Sebastian Silva, and the guy from TV on the radio.
Tunde.
I know how to say his first name. I don't know how to say it. How do you say his last name?
Oh, I have no idea.
Okay. That's why I'm saying the guy from TV on the radio. Because I feel like that's more respectful than butchering his actual name.
I guess.
Mark Margolis is in this too. And he does a really great job. I love pretty much anything he's in.
Yeah. Anytime he shows up, I just get happy.
And this, not to get too far ahead of myself, but I think that this was probably the best role he's ever done. I mean, he just nailed it in this movie. Like he changed his voice, and he was just a completely different character than he normally plays. Like he's typically kind of a character actor where he usually plays an ex mobster, you know.
Yeah.
He usually plays a crime boss of some sort. But I feel like he really just nailed the role of Richard in this. Kevin, we'll start it with you. What'd you think of Nasty Baby?
Nasty Baby. I was kind of surprised by this.
As was I.
The first thing that because we already kind of mentioned, I was kind of thinking of, okay, how are we going to discuss this without really talking about like the unexpected turn that it takes. But then when I pull it up on IMDb and I see that it's in the synopsis, I'm like, oh,
yeah, we can talk about it.
okay. Apparently they want that to be known, which seems really odd because of the way that it's handled in the film. You know, it's essentially never discussed whatsoever, and it comes out completely out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So you're thinking that they were trying to keep this under wraps.
And the trailer too. Also, the trailer starts off much like the movie, where it's pretty much has the feel of an indie comedy until the end, when like stuff gets really crazy and they start playing this loud music and stuff, and you know that something weird happens. So I think it's evident that something happens in this movie that's a lot darker than, you know, what happens throughout most of the film. But yeah, even the trailer doesn't give away that they kill somebody. But I guess since the synopsis says it, they don't mind people knowing that.
Yeah, apparently.
I guess maybe they were worried about doing that because it takes a 180 shift. Like this is a movie that completely changes, and maybe they were worried about that affecting some people. That I don't know.
I don't know. But I thought it worked.
It worked for me too.
It worked for me when it took that shift. I thought that, I mean, it was a bit kind of bit ridiculous in the way that they reacted and how they handled it. But the actual shift itself, I thought worked rather well. The whole lead up to it, and how they set the scene for this action to happen later on in the film. You know, they keep having these interactions with this person.
Yeah. And I think maybe that's another thing that the trailers and maybe the synopsis does, is that it kind of plants the seed where, you know, from the beginning, as soon as they have their first interaction with this person, you get this kind of looming feeling that something is going to happen.
Yeah.
You don't know when, but something terrible is going to happen. It could happen at any moment. And I think that really adds to the tension of this movie, which is, it's really interesting. It's a really interesting film tonally, because you have this indie comedy. I would call it an indie comedy.
Yeah.
But kind of right underneath the surface, you have this looming threat of, I would say, almost suspense that's occurring.
Yeah, because you have mentally ill character who's just completely unpredictable.
Yeah.
And he keeps popping up because he's in the neighborhood. He lives in the neighborhood, and they keep having to interact with him.
Yeah, they keep having these altercations with him. And although at first it doesn't seem to be escalating, yeah.
Yeah, and once again, Freddy kind of exacerbates things. Guy just likes to go out early in the morning and clean the street. That's what he
Yeah,
likes to do.
5. He just likes to leaf blow at 5 in the morning. The thing about that, which I think is interesting, is I believe it was the first time that it happens when he starts the leaf blowing at like 7 in the morning. Freddy gets up, and Freddy's played by Sebastian Silva, and he freaks out, like he just loses it. And Mo, the character played by Tunde, he kind of alludes to the fact that maybe he does have some kind of anger problems.
Yeah.
Because it seems like it was it was a callback to maybe something he had previously where he has to go through, and calm himself down. And I like that they added that in there. It was like kind of him letting us know, like, all right, Freddy does have a bit of a temper, and he does tend to overreact and lose his cool very quickly.
Yeah.
And maybe irrationally.
Yeah.
So I like that they just added that in there, letting us know, this is a guy that does tend to lose his cool.
Correct. I thought that was handled really well. I think just the handling of pretty much everything I thought was pretty fantastic, especially the friendship with Sebastian Silva, Tunde, and Kristen Wiig, and them trying to have a baby and enlisting the help of Kristen Wiig's character. I thought all that was fantastic. And then you have that, like you said, you have that underlying undercurrent of this unpredictable neighborhood character, so to say.
Yeah.
That keeps popping up every now and then. And you know that something's going to happen there, but you're not quite sure what it is.
Yeah, or when it's going to happen either.
And then so every time that he starts to pop up, it becomes very tense. Because then it kind of shifts into this completely different movie.
Yeah, exactly. Now, going back to what you said about their friendship felt very real. The dialogue felt very natural. How they would joke around with each other and kind of, send each other funny pictures, and just, it felt like a really natural, real relationship. But on top of the added tension of their neighbor, which was an ongoing threat, you also had kind of this drama of them trying to have a baby and it's not working, and then they get, they ask Mo if he can be kind of the father, the donator, instead of Sebastian or Freddy. And so there's kind of this like drama with that as well. Like Kristen Wiig's having a really hard time with it. She really wants to have this kid. So there's that layer as well, which I liked, that kind of added dramatic layer.
Yeah. The only thing that I could really say that's kind of negative about this film is that the number one, I think Ali Shawkat is just wasted.
Yeah.
Her character's just completely wasted. I did like the ridiculousness of Sebastian Silva's character, his art project that he's working on.
Yeah.
I don't know if it necessarily needed.
I thought it got too much screen time.
It got a bit too much screen time throughout. I did like the ending of it and what kind of creates the terrible day that he's having. And just the ridiculous. Yes. I love how it's kind of thrown back into his face, because his number one, his project is ridiculous.
Yeah,
number two, he's a performance artist, and most performance artists, their art is ridiculous and it makes no sense and it's completely pointless. And then the fact that to decide if he's going to be in this group show or not, they essentially use a performance piece,
the Oracle.
The Oracle.
Consult the Oracle.
It's essentially thrown back in his face, and he can't comprehend it. He's like, this makes no sense.
I love it. This is ridiculous. He was so funny in that scene where he's just he's like, what is this? What are we doing here? And the guy's like, we're consulting the Oracle. We're gonna get the answers from the Oracle. And he's like, what is the Oracle? He's like, are you serious? What is going on here? That was really funny, and yeah, I liked that. I liked that quite a bit.
Yeah, it's just it was just a bit too much to have to keep seeing over and over again. Sebastian Silva playing a baby.
Yeah,
like the lead up to it and all that. It's just like, okay, I get it. I get your performance piece. I don't need. Did
you pick up on the little jab they made at what's her name?
Abramovich.
Abramovich.
Yeah, yeah. Which I did.
I figured you'd appreciate that.
I did like it because essentially he's saying the same thing about himself, but he obviously holds himself in a much higher regard.
Yeah, yeah.
But so I mean, I like that little bit, but the lead up to it, I thought was just a bit too much.
Yeah. I will agree with you that Aaliyah Shawkat was a little bit underutilized. I would like to see more of her. Did you see the Broad City episode with her in it?
Yeah, of course.
Oh my god. I loved that. She was a producer on this movie too, Aaliyah Shawkat. She was great. I like her in anything she's in. So
yeah,
yes, more of her, please. I do like that I don't know if this is a spoiler, but after the event occurs at the end, basically everybody gets involved, and I kind of like the way that it went with that, where it wasn't just one person dealing with it or even two of them dealing with it. They kind of all had to deal with it together.
Yeah.
I kind of liked that. And the event itself, I thought, was very realistic looking, very brutal, and really almost difficult to watch in its realism.
Well, the neighborhood has to get together, clean up that neighborhood.
Yeah.
Which is, I also liked the last altercation with him and his leaf blower, and then how the cop comes over, because I've had the exact same experience with, if you remember, my schizophrenic neighbor that said that the masters of the universe were going to come down and fucking destroy me and my wife. And it was pretty much met the same way. Like when I called the police and when I talked to my building manager, the kind of things that I got was like, well, he's schizophrenic, so he's not dangerous.
Yeah, he's harmless.
He's harmless. I know, like the building manager tells me, I know for a fact he doesn't have any guns. Like, I don't know. Like, do you check his house every day? How do you know this? And I can be killed with things other than guns.
Yeah. Exactly.
And number two, it's not that hard to get a gun.
Yeah.
It's very, I had quite the same experience. Mine didn't involve a leaf blower. Mine was just a more elaborate, I was following him for 10 years, apparently.
Yeah, of course.
And I would whistle at him.
Stalking him.
And the best thing is, like, when I talked to the cops or anything, and I was like, yeah, he has this elaborate backstory, and me and my wife whistle at him. And the first question out of their mouths every single time was, well, why are you whistling at him? And it's like, why are you taking his side? Like, I've explained everything to you. Number one, I can't whistle. I don't have to put that in my face.
Nice callback there.
Exactly.
Two other things I want to mention about this movie. One, Constance Schulman, who's the bishop's girlfriend. She's from Orange is the New Black. She does a great job, even though she's not in it very much either.
Everyone does a good job.
Yeah, exactly. I liked the scene when they took the little trip to Mo's family's place a lot. I thought that was really interesting because that added yet another layer where, they were kind of getting the family reaction to this whole concept. Like, it was probably difficult enough for his family to accept him as being gay, and now they're kind of having to comprehend or accept the fact that he's about to possibly have a child with his partner and his friend.
Yeah.
And I liked seeing how that played out, especially with with his sister and his sister's reaction to it.
Yeah.
I liked that whole interaction, that whole scene as well. So, yeah, really surprised with this one because I've only seen two of Silva's other films. I saw Crystal Fairy and Magic, and I thought that Magic was okay. I didn't love it, but I didn't really like Crystal Fairy at all. And I thought that this was by far his best that I've seen out of those three.
Yeah, I've only seen two. That's this and The Maid. And
I heard The Maid was good, but
Maid is great. I really enjoyed The Maid, and I also really enjoyed this. So my interactions with Silva's movies have been full on positive.
Nice, good. All right, any final thoughts on this one before we give a score?
No, I don't think so. Score it up.
All right, what are you gonna give Nasty Baby out of 10?
I'm gonna give Nasty Baby 7.5.
I'm also going to go with the 7.5 on this one. Highly recommend this. I can confirm that this one is available on VOD and playing in select cities, so check it out. It's well worth a look.
I inadvertently, and I didn't try this, I had no idea. I did have a back-to-back Reggie Cathy
Oh, yeah?
double bill. Yeah, I watched this after I watched The Machinist, which he was also in. So that was kind of unexpected double billing there.
Nice. Cool. Very cool. Yeah, he does a fantastic job as well. Didn't really mention him too much in our review, but yeah, he's great. All right.